So, aromatherapy blends for sheer pleasure of the aroma is a combination of creativity and science. I wrote that down on my opening handout for the class when we were teaching this, in a class format. Today, you're going to get just a few touches of how to create those blends, how to make your own perfume. And the reason that we thought about doing this is because Mother's Day is coming up. And so we wanted to think of a way to do gifts, and we could do teas, and maybe we'll cover that at some point. But Paula had this great idea about perfumes. All moms would love to have a perfume or a spray or a fragrance of some sort. But how do we go about making those perfumes? That's what our conversation is today on the Plant Power Half Hour. I'll kick us off. Let's talk about why we want to use healthy oils, Paula. Let's get us started with what's the difference between our fragrance oils and essential oils, or oils that we're getting that are maybe have therapeutic benefits.
Right. And, in the past, I thought whatever I bought in the store was safe for me to use. Right now, I know a little bit more. Now I know a lot of these ingredients that are in products have just been grandfathered in over years and years, and they aren't always the best for my health. So especially that little word fragrance, that can have hidden names of so many different ingredients. It's often used for people to hide their ingredients as their trademarked scent or items, but it also hides a lot of other stuff. They don't have to tell us what's in the products. So when I'm looking for something that's safer for my body, I want something that the ingredients says what it is. They don't have to tell me how much, but they say exactly all the things that are in it so that I know my body can handle it. I'm not going to have, sinus issues or headache issues. I think we've all been surrounded by that woman with the intense perfume that you're getting that headache from, right? Mm-hmm. Those are things that our body is sending us that signal. This isn't good for your body. Your body is not accepting this. It's like the red flag. Warning, warning, warning. Yeah. So removing those from our own fragrances and encouraging others to have a different option as well can be really helpful. But what commonly is happening is they are actually like phytoestrogens. So they are actually affecting our hormone levels because our body's like, is it something that I should be responding to? What's happening? And it's kind of messing with our hormone levels. So it impacts that as well. So knowing what your ingredients are make a huge, huge difference in how healthy your body is, but also the long-term effects of it too, right?
Anything we put on our skin goes into our bloodstream, in could be 20 or 30 seconds. If it's like an aloe or an essential oil, it could take 20 or 30 minutes. If it's some sort of a store-bought lotion or fragrance, but those fragrances oftentimes they contain preservatives that are of a chemical nature, and we don't want to push that into our skin. It ends up in our organs, our tissues, and it disrupts our ability to produce the hormones that we need it by producing what Paula called the xenoestrogens. So those are the bad estrogens, and that the trickle down effect on our endocrine system and our health it can be catastrophized. It can be a catastrophe for some people because of their sensitivity. If you get a headache just by being in the room with somebody who's wearing a strong perfume, you're sensitive. You are probably ultra sensitive, and it's a consideration. What are you putting on your skin? What shampoo are you using? What, even what toothpaste, all of those products in your bathroom and in your kitchen, if you can't eat them, they're a better choice. I was diagnosed with skin cancer at a really young age. And so I've been hyper vigilant about what I put on and in my body for a lot of years. Many of you in the herbalist group have already downloaded my ebook for healthy housekeeping, which is all products made from things you find in your kitchen. So they're more mild, and they're built for those people who are sensitive. And so the same idea applies here when we're looking at perfumes. How do we use fragrance and scents and perfumes? Because we love the aroma and we love the feeling that we we get. Our sense of smell is the strongest sense that we have, and it goes right in through our olfactory bulb, right into the parts of the brain that have memory recall, that store those fuzzy warm feelings that we get. So fragrance is very much tied to our mental health, our mood. And so how do we dive into those things? Let's talk about the notes. As we're blending these things, it's kind of like we use a musical instrument or a musical chart to try to differentiate what the different scents are by something called notes. So Paula, why don't you share those with us?
Yeah. Scent has a variety. So there's top notes that's usually the initial scent that you can experience. You smell it right away when you smell a blend or a perfume, but it only lasts about an hour or two. So simple things like citrus, we notice right away. The middle notes last, in that 2 to 4 hour range. And then the base notes are ones that last a little bit longer. So when we're combining to create a great perfume, you want a little bit of all of that. So it's going to last. But it's also what I love is helping people put it on, smell it right away, describe it, smell it 5 minutes later, smell it an hour later, smell it 4 hours later, and how it evolves over time as it's basically evaporating, but also how your body's absorbing it and how it's mixing with your own body chemistry too. That's where personalizing a perfume can become so magical, because Lisa and I could wear the same scent and it's going to have a little bit different impact on us. And two, the combinations that we put into these, again, like you said, they can affect our emotions and our mood. So certain ones that maybe we feel a little bit more beautiful and sexy, or maybe that we feel just a little bit happier and joyous, choosing what we want for that day can also depend on what are our intentions for the day, or what do we need to boost our health for the day. Lisa, you can tell a little bit more about the different oils or scents that are included in those top and middle base notes,
For
right?
sure. Yeah. The citrus ones, they evaporate really quickly. And things like patchouli or vetiver, those really heavy, dense scents, those would be, in the ones that last the longest, right? And then we have my two favorites that I'm using right now are ylang ylang and clary sage, and those are both middle notes. So when you're pulling these scents together, one of the things that I like to do is just open the bottles and hold them at the same time and smell them together. So taking the tops off, holding both or 3 or 4 bottles in your hand, and just underneath let it waft out through the bottle and get a sense of it. And it's like, does it make sense together or not? Start to take things out and put other things in, because mixing all of our favorite oils may not create the best perfume. So that's the art of it, is pulling in an oil and pulling a different fragrance together just to see what that combination is. Some of the categories I'm going to share are like the oils are broken down into categories. So there's, I think, 8 or 9 of them here. I'll just rattle them off. So floral is a category. That would be lavender, neroli, jasmine, those real scented, powerful florals. Some of us don't like floral oils because we can, it makes our nose tickle or we sneeze. Woodsy scents. Paula, what fits into woodsy scent? What off the top of your head, can you think of something woodsy?
Oh, I think immediately of the juniper and spruce and northern black lights and frankincense, cedarwood, all of those, like tree, right?
Yeah. And then we have earthy scents. That's vetiver and patchouli. Those deeper, those are not my favorite. I tend to fall in the middle category. So you'll find that as you're smelling these, you have an affinity for something, like something will stand out. But when you're creating a perfume, you need something in each of the top, the middle, and the base notes so that you have the longevity of the perfume. You're not just wearing it and it's all gone in an hour if you're only using top oils. Herbaceous, minty, medicinal, spicy, nutmeg and clove, Oriental, which is ginger, and patchouli again falls into this category, and then citrus. Interestingly enough, oils can fit into multiple categories based on their fragrance because they are made up of multiple notes, but they have one that's kind of their base, one of that's really the strongest note that resonates within that oil.
Mm-hmm.
How about blending tips? That's next what I had on my list.
Yeah.
Was blending tips.
The word synergy pops into my head. I love dropping oils together, getting them combined, but then just letting them blend together and letting them sit for a little while before I add other things. And it's interesting how that composition of the scent changes a little bit as it's coming together. Of course, one of my favorite springtime combinations is lemon, lavender, and peppermint, because I'm using it because all the things are in bloom. But I also love that as a scent too. It doesn't have that really good base note in it, so it doesn't last for a long time. So I would need to add something to that to really make it a true perfume. But the combination when they come together are so helpful. Sometimes I like to take all these single plants and pull them together. Other times I really love to just take some of the Young Living blends that are already pulled together. They've already done the homework for us. Just use that and simply turn that into a spray, or use that, look at the ingredient list and pick out, ooh, I really like orange, or I really like ylang ylang. That blend is fabulous, but I'm going to add a little bit more of that ingredient that's in there just to bring that out a little bit extra. And that is such a simple way to know already what goes together, right? You don't have to experiment and have some fails. You can already look at these blends and just magnify a piece of it to begin with there too. Lisa, do you have combinations?
Well, your lavender, lemon, peppermint, frankincense is the perfect base note for that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because that is, frankincense is a base note, but it doesn't, I don't think that it wrecks those other oils together. It's also anti-inflammatory. And so if you're using it for seasonal, irritations, it kind of complements those. And then I like it as a fragrance. I oftentimes will use frankincense as a fragrance by itself, but I enjoy that. I enjoy that scent. So there's lots of different combinations that we can use. Right now, I've been playing with juniper. And so I made a roller ball with juniper, rose, and there was one, it might have been Palmarosa or jasmine.
Yeah.
I don't remember which one. It's a little strong, but it dissipates. Initially, like I'll put it on and then get ready for the day. By the time I'm ready for the day, it's dissipated enough. If people smell me right away when I put it on, it's a little strong and they might not like it. But I love that juniper scent these days. I have no idea why, but I have to look it up and see what the emotional support is from juniper, because I've been playing around with the juniper, and gin is my favorite drink. So maybe that's tied together. I don't know. I'm a G&T girl. So blending, when we get into blending, we want to use carrier oils and preservatives. So I have a list of a few carrier oils, but let's talk about, we mentioned in the opening, preservatives oftentimes are chemical preservatives, and they can be bad for us when they get into our organs and into our tissue. But what are the preservatives that you like to use that are a better choice when you're blending perfume?
Yeah, when I'm making a perfume spray, I simply will choose a good quality vodka that's, I know, usually locally made, that is a clean source. The other thing I like to add, if I'm not going to add alcohol to it, is witch hazel. So a little bit of witch hazel. Witch hazel just helps a scent hang in the air a little bit slower. And you could fill the rest with water, or you could fill the whole thing with witch hazel. The difference, the scent does change a bit when you add witch hazel versus vodka is generally unscented. So it doesn't change the combination as much. But just so that you're aware of that, if you don't want to put vodka in it for some reason, the witch hazel would be another option. You know, oil and water don't mix. So that's why incorporating witch hazel, a little pinch of salt, or the vodka is helpful to help those incorporate and blend together.
And we do have some recipes. We'll put a link in the comments below if you want to get those recipes where it breaks down how much of the oil, how much of the witch hazel or vodka, and how much distilled water specifically. Let's not use tap water or spring water because that can have other matter in it. So we use distilled water, which is completely empty water. There's nothing left in it, and it just holds on to and grabs that scent to help make it last a little bit longer. So distilled water, vodka, and witch hazel are the additives that we're going to use in addition to carrier oils. So there's a few. Almond oil, which is very moisturizing and it's rich in essential fatty acids. So almond oil is a great choice. We have apricot kernel oil, lighter consistency, more of a subtle aroma. Oftentimes it's used in facial massage because it's light and delicate. It's good for aging skin or mature skin. If you're using it in cosmetics, making your own skin lotions and things. Wheat germ oil, again, high in vitamin E, and it's an antioxidant. I haven't used it much. Again, that one's for mature skin. I tend to go towards apricot oil versus that one. Hazelnut oil and sunflower oil are two other ones that I've used, as well as grapeseed oil. Grapeseed oil was the other one. Jojoba and avocado. Jojoba is, some people call it jojoba, but it's pronounced jojoba, and it is a thicker, heavier oil. I tend to use that more in lotions and creams than as a carrier oil for perfumes because it will gunk up the roller ball. But if it's thinned enough, it will work as well. So whatever you have on hand, there's lots of choices to use for those oils. I tend not to use olive oil of any kind because olive oil has its own scent and it's not a favorite scent of mine. So I don't use that in perfuming oils. You can use it in other things, but not in perfuming oils. We want something that has a really light fragrance or very little scent because we don't want to change the oils of the composition of the perfume that we're creating.
I love using the vodka in, like, when I'm doing a spray, creating a spray, making that convenient. It's gonna last a long time. When I'm making something that's a perfume more as a roller, I do need to be more careful about my carrier oils, right? Because they don't have a shelf life. Vodka definitely lasts forever. Carrier oils don't necessarily have that long of a shelf life, 1 to 3 years, depending on the type of it. So those are the ones I want to make sure that I'm making in smaller quantities that I'm going to actually use up quickly, at least within a year, so that I'm not then later smelling the rancid smell of a carrier oil gone bad. The essential oils will be fine, but it's the carrier oil that'll be the challenge. Lisa, do you add anything inside your rollers?
I don't. I use a lot of teas in my, Epsom salts and bath salts and things like that, where I'll put in dried herbs, but I don't put them in. I don't know. I feel weird about it, but I notice you do.
I've had some with dried herbs put in there, and it makes for a pretty gift. This one has some stones in it, some little gems in it. So that's a fun way to just kind of up level, especially if you're giving this as a gift, giving a little bit more energy from the crystals in there, and just something beautiful with those dried flowers in there too can add.
I never thought of the gems. My brain right away went to dried herbs in it, because the oils come from the herbs, from the plants. So why not dry those and put them in it? But yeah, it gunks up the roller balls, it gunks up the sprayers, but the gems wouldn't do that. It just keeps it all blended together and mixes the oils in with the fragrance all the time. So I would definitely try that. I like that one a lot.
Yeah. Awesome.
I made a note here just to give our viewers kind of a base of when you're blending this, what you're looking for is 30% of your oils come from your top notes, 50% would come from your middle notes, and 20% of your, for your base notes. So what would that look like? You're doing it in drops. So 30, you break out the 3 oils maybe that you want to use, or break them into categories. If you're using 2 base notes, you'll want to split the number of drops between those so that they equate to 20% of the formula. 50% again would be in the middle, and then 30% of your lighter oils that evaporate quicker.
Mm-hmm. So something like a Northern Lights black spruce as our base, a patchouli as our middle, and then grapefruit as our top notes.
You actually flip the 2 in the middle. Patchouli is the base note. That's the thicker one. And then the spruce and the 2 spruce ones that you had mentioned, those
Northern Lights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Northern Lights. I'm going to double check on those, make sure. But yeah, spruce and Northern Lights, those would be your middle notes. Yeah.
Okay.
And patchouli is
cool.
base. There's not, there's a limited number of base notes. It's angelica root, balsam, beeswax, benzoin, cedarwood, frankincense, ginger, helichrysum, myrrh, oak moss, olibanum, patchouli, sandalwood, vanilla. A lot of fragrances have vanilla, and then vetiver. Those are kind of the base notes. So they're most of them are thicker oils. They're heavier, more dense oil. And so that's why they last a lot longer. And then a lot of your citruses and your floral oils are your top notes. And then the other stuff, the middle section, the middle notes is the biggest category of plant material.
Awesome. I haven't paid as much attention to those. So, but I know I love the citrus. I love the floral. I need to add more of my base notes in there to really extend it and make it last.
The kids sometimes, I have my nieces and nephews are here a lot, and sometimes they tease me, they go, "You smell like pizza today," because I love the smell of basil. And so I will use a lot of basil. And so they correlate, and people don't use basil on their pizza. Sorry, they use it in Italian cooking, but it's oregano that's in basil, and that's really spicy. I wouldn't use that directly on my skin, without a pretty heavy duty carrier oil, because that it's very spicy, and I feel like I could get a burn from it, irritate my skin. But basil, I'll grab the leaves and rub it on, or I will use that as a base note because I like the smell of it. I use basil in my coffee or in lieu of coffee. Sometimes if I need something refreshing to drink, but the kids say, "Oh, you're in that pizza fragrance again." And then juniper too. Like they don't love the juniper. It's like, it's kind of spicy, like the comments that I get from them, but they all when they come, they all play with the oils. They all wear the oils. They put them on their feet. They love the sense of them. I have diffusers in all the rooms. And so I have a kids guest room and an adults guest room. And when they stay in the kids guest room, there's a diffuser in there. So they get to mix up their own concoctions and what they want to diffuse in the room before they go to bed. So fragrance is really custom. It's personalized, and there's an art to it. The art is the easy part to learn, and the rest of it, just play. It's just something to play with.
Yeah, I love your tip about just opening the bottles, smelling the combination, even just to decide what I'm going to put in my diffuser, or if I'm going to make an actual concoction to go into one of my bottles as well. I usually test it there first. If I like it there, then I'm like, oh yeah, I want to wear that.
Yeah, wear it around throughout the day and invite people in. So again, if you would like to try your hand at this and you need some help, we do have some recipes. Go ahead and find the link below, put your name and email in, and that will land in your email box. When you go to that website, just scroll down to Aroma 101, Aroma Series 101, something like that. And you'll get a variety of different, tidbits on different ways to use essential oils. The first one will be the perfuming and the fragrance one. The first email that goes out will be the perfuming and the fragrance one, because we're introducing it here. But you'll get a series. If it's not for you and you don't want to learn anymore, just unsubscribe. No worries. Otherwise, enjoy that handout with some basic recipes that Paula and I have put together for you. Final thoughts, my dear.
Oh, I love this. It inspires me to start mixing up some new concoctions. And I'm super excited how next week we're going to dive into more gifts for ladies, some bath salts and bath bomb secrets and tips that we've learned over the years on how to make those a successful DIYs.
Perfect. So if oils are too difficult, salts and scents are easier. Tune in next week. We hope you come back for that one. And again, we'll see you at future Facebook Lives. It's our pleasure to be here.
Bye.